Apologize about my tardiness once again. Welcome to the Astral Dojo. That's a good one, Bryce. I like it. What is the topic for tonight? Well, first and foremost, the FBI says stop shooting at the drones. Stop taking shots at the drones. I forgot to trigger the intro video there. No, I just literally rolled out of a dream and woke up and was like, what's going on? Yeah, you ever do that when you wake up? There's about 5 or 6 seconds there where you don't know where you are, what the hell's going on, what state of reality you're in. Yeah, that's me. I'm still kind of waking up. Stop shooting at the drones. So what they're stating is that these drones are just a mixture of hobbyists, the police, and commercial drones. There's not any aliens. There's not any interdimensional drones. They're not looking for nuclear weapons. I mean, that's according to the FBI, though. Who knows, right? Why not? Drones are good target practice. I think it's illegal to shoot drones. When they first started flying them around, I actually had a neighbor that flew his drone into my yard, and I did take a shot at it. And then he came over and said, of course, you can't do that. It's illegal. And I'm thinking, well, you're on my property. How is it illegal? Right? You got your little camera flying around on my property, right? That I should be able to blast it out of the sky. But here's the thing. Technically, we don't own anything. If you don't pay your taxes, you'll find that out very quick. But we don't own the air at all. We don't have any airspace, I don't think. Somebody check that for me. But there is a law. You can't shoot someone's drone down, I believe. Even if they're like in your yard, on your property, flying around, spying on you, watching you pee on a tree or something, I think you should have some airspace. Is there an airspace law? Just EMP that MFer. I don't have an EMP thing. If you guys know how to build one, hit me up. I'd love to figure it out. They're awfully expensive, though, aren't they? The orbs are probably something else coming to take a look. Yeah, the orbs are real. If you guys go check out UFO Seekers YouTube channel, I've been watching Tim's stuff lately, and he's got pictures of orange orb-looking things that are just popping up. A whole bunch of them are popping up over Area 51. They're crazy looking. So, yeah, what's the government's excuse for the orbs? Do they know what those are? I don't know. What is the topic for tonight? Well, since we've been going through an extensive library of astral travel books, I would assume that tonight would be the same. Of course, you never know. We may drift off into something totally different because, I've kind of figured out, not only do I have ADD, but we all here have ADD a little bit. A man that was 72 years old went to jail. The drone was over his house and dropping a wire, so he got out of. He went to jail for it, for shooting it? Seriously? So then what's Astral Dojo? So what's the law then? Right? I mean, can they fly in and just look into your window and watch you or what? What's the law here? We got to look this up. I'm not playing that. Sorry. You who just sent me that message, I'm not going to play that. That'd be rude. All right, so let's just look this up real quick out of pure curiosity. Can I shoot a drone in my yard? Is it against the law? I think it is, actually. To shoot drones in your yard. Jesus H. It is illegal. It's illegal to shoot one, okay? Under the Title 18 U.S. Code 32, the destruction of aircraft is a federal crime. That's how you can become a felon fast, right? The Federal Aviation Administration classifies all types of drones as aircraft, even recreational flyers. So, along with being charged with a federal crime, an individual who shoots down a drone may be charged with one or more state or local crimes, too. For example, many jurisdictions consider firing a weapon in public a form of criminal mischief. I don't know. Well, I live in Arkansas. We fire weapons in the country all the time, you know. So in some areas, the individual may also be charged with endangering the public or property crime. I don't understand. There has to be some kind of like barrier, though. So you're telling me, where's the line at? Is what I'm saying. Can a drone, like, where's the threshold? Can anybody figure this out? Can a drone come down and look into my window? I mean, technically, it's in the air. But if it's peering into my window and invading my privacy, let's see. Whoa. The homeowner needs to deal with civil laws. The drone pilot may sue. Oh, you get sued. So someone could fly their drone into your yard. Let's say you're me and you got a big enough yard out here in Arkansas that you decide to take a leak on a tree. No one's around, just you and the old tree, Mother Nature. Down comes a drone. I mean, it flies down next to your face. Technically, it's still in the air. It's on your property. You shoot it or bash it with a baseball bat, someone said. And not only is that a federal crime, but they can sue you too. There's got to be a threshold right here. You can't jam it either, so the EMP won't work. If you jam in the signal or cut its electricity of any type, that's also a federal crime. Now, why would this law be a thing? Think about that for a second. You guys seen that movie Upgrade? I told you to watch it. You should watch it. Why would they make laws like this? I could see airplanes, right? Well, airplanes are not going to come into my yard. But why would they make a law protecting drones this damn much, especially recreational ones? Because you can't tell the difference sometimes. The homeowner, here's the thing though. Homeowners may attempt to claim self-defense after shooting down a drone. However, homeowners do not own the airspace above their properties. Did you know that? All you own is the dirt. And if you don't pay taxes on the dirt, you don't own that really. So the air above the dirt, just that little airspace where the flies fly around in, that's not yours. That's the government's. The FAA considers all airspace to be under its jurisdiction. To claim self-defense, the homeowner also needs to prove that the drone posed a threat of deadly force. Unless the drone is equipped with a weapon, it is not a deadly weapon. After any applicable federal, state, and local drone laws, the homeowner needs to deal with civil laws. The drone pilot may sue the homeowner in civil court for the destruction of personal property due to the various legal penalties. Shooting down a drone is 100% illegal in the United States and in most other countries too. It's illegal to jam it of any kind. Drones are usually equipped with transmitters and receivers, and all communications are sent using radio waves of varying frequencies, whether the interface is provided by GPS, Wi-Fi, or a handheld controller. If you jam the signal, that's a federal offense. Spoofing. You could spoof it. That's another method used to disrupt normal communication between the drone and the operator. However, as with jamming, spoofing is also illegal. Spoofing involves using software or hardware to spoof the signal used to communicate with the drone. There has to be a law. There has to be something protecting people that are just like in regular homes, man. So let me get this straight. I can shoot a crow. I can if it's crow season. There is such a thing as crow season. I don't eat crow pie, so I don't got any reason to shoot a crow. But technically, I could shoot a crow. I could do my little call, blast it out of the sky, perfectly fine. But two scenarios here. I'm taking a leak on a tree. Crow flies over. I pull up my scatter gun. Back out. That thing's gone. I'm good. Scenario 2. Taking a leak on a tree. Buddy over next door neighbor is wanting to spy on me with his drone. Flies it over my house. Pull out my scatter gun. Blackout. Now I'm a felon. I don't understand this totally. Like maybe if it's in the city. Well, let's see. Drones can legally fly over houses in most areas. All right, here we go. This might be the compromise. The FAA controls all navigable airspace, which includes everything above a house and beyond. The area below 400 feet. Here we go. I've found it. The area below 400 feet is considered uncontrolled airspace. The area below 400 foot. Below what? Below. I don't have a threshold here. Okay, whatever. 400 feet. So you got 400 feet from the ground up. That's uncontrolled airspace. Recreational drone operators may fly drones in uncontrolled airspace without FAA approval. Unless the drone is flying below the tree line or the top of the roof, the drone operator is unlikely to get into trouble. Keep in mind, I knew there was something here. There had to have been because this made no sense. Keep in mind, the laws and regulations vary across the country. In some states, the homeowner owns the space up to 83 feet from the ground. That's not very freaking high. If any of you have 83, it's kind of high, but not real high. In other states, the height of the property is not defined. There are also individual restrictions from homeowners associations and neighborhood associations. As the restrictions against this type of yard decorations that homeowners can display, whatever, we don't care about that. Nothing to me is more redundant than the freaking homeowners association. Let's see. What should I do if I feel that a drone is invading my privacy? If you believe that a drone is infringing on your right to privacy, there are several options available. You can contact the owner of the drone and ask them to stop flying in your vicinity. Thanks. Shit, I wouldn't have fit. Like, I'm glad you said that one because I don't think I would have even thought of that. You can report it to local law enforcement or file a complaint with the FAA. In some cases, local or federal laws may have specific regulations in place for dealing with privacy issues related to drones, and it's important to research and understand your rights. Ultimately, it's best to communicate with the owner of the drone. Do you think for 1 minute, like I did watch some videos where these guys are flying drones over the beaches, like into people's backyards and stuff. Do you think that I'm going to go ask like that person's, could you please stop doing that? Thank you. And they're going to go, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm getting 250,000 views on YouTube. I'll stop right now. And that's a good question too. Like, how do we figure out who the drones belong to? Yeah, we don't know. That's another thing. How can you stop drones from flying over your house? Here's the real thing. If you, let's say I got this blue Power Ranger mask. I used to use it to go around collecting money back in the day. So all of a sudden, let's say you're flying your drone and you fly into a property, then you see this fat redneck with a blue Power Ranger mask on jump out of the bushes and shoot your drone out of the sky. You can ID the perp. So that's one way to deal with it. Drones are legally permitted to fly over private oh, really? They can do it, whether you want them to or not. However, the FAA regulations for drone operations prohibit operators from flying drones in a reckless manner. How? Unfortunately, the FAA is unlikely to get involved when a homeowner claims that a drone operator is flying it recklessly. The FAA recommends that homeowners contact their local law enforcement agencies when they notice reckless flying. What is reckless flying? That guy, how would you even know? That guy's got to be, he's drunk flying that drone. It's reckless. It looks weird. It's moving funny. This is a lot of vague stuff. However, the homeowner may find it difficult to prove. While homeowners have limited options for dealing with drones, there are several potential solutions. The property owner should check if their homeowners association or neighborhood association has any restrictions. If any of you guys are members of the HOAA, go jump off a cliff. We don't need other governments inside of other governments inside of other governments. This is why I don't ever want to live in a house in a little suburban area. If drone flying is not permitted, law enforcement can intervene to force the drone pilot to stop flying in the neighborhood. Check your local laws. Here's what we're trying to figure out, and this whole article is like beating around the bush, you know. What's up, Ava? You want to see my blue Power Ranger mask? I have to show you one day. Used to Shylock as a side business, yeah. All right, so they're beating around the bush here. The question is if you fly your drone down into my local redneck area property here, is there a threshold where I can blast that sumbitch out of the sky? Because here's what this was what don't make sense. This is why I feel like they're planning something with these drones, because these laws are crazy. In this state, if you set foot on someone's property, a person, right? You drive up on somebody's property, you start stealing stuff, or you pose a threat, you can get shot. You try to rob anybody or anything like that, you can get shot. But if you are outside of the property, you fly your drone in here with a camera where we can't do anything. How was that? You know the golden rule thing, right? Like this is definitely a step over that. Some jurisdictions, I'm not worried about the homeowners association. Inanimate objects can trespass on a property. For example, if a branch from a neighboring tree over the fence hangs over into your property, the branch is trespassing. The homeowner can cut it down. See, that's another good point. Can cut it down without facing any legal consequences. If a drone flies within the defined boundary of the property and the homeowner has photographic evidence, they may file a complaint with local authorities. The police may then file charges against the drone owner for trespassing. Anything, but you just can't shoot it. Another option is to file a complaint alleging that the drone operator is creating a nuisance. A nuisance is an unnecessary action that may disrupt the reasonable enjoyment of an individual's property. This may include a car blasting music, someone yelling, or the whirling blades of a drone. The final option for stopping a drone is to file a complaint alleging an invasion of privacy. That would have been my first option, not my final one. So what do you guys want to know here? What about your cat? That's another good point. Yes, I certainly do want to see it. If I show you here's the thing, right? If I put on my blue Power Ranger mask, lots of things that I got away with in the past might come up, and people might go, hey, wait a minute, and then I might get in trouble. However, I might still show it to you just because it's been so long, you know? The real question here is, what kind of weird rituals are you up to, Joe, that you don't want the drones or astral perverts to see? What business of that is it of yours? Like, I don't care. Whatever you do in the vicinity of your home and property is your business. If I want to go outside and light a fire and dance around it naked and chant Malalikahai Mikahani Ho 100 times, right? If I want to do that, I should be able to do that. I don't need to have to worry about a drone coming into my property recording the whole thing. And I definitely should have the option at some threshold level, right? Wherever this thing is, I should have the option to shoot it. I can shoot a person if they come onto the property and they pose a threat. I can shoot birds, life. We can take life here in this state, right? But I can't shoot a stupid drone. I don't know, man. You don't have a drone over here, Sudi. Whether a drone can record a homeowner in their backyard depends on local laws and several other important details. More vague bullshit. The first consideration is the layout of the yard and surrounding features. If the backyard is completely enclosed with a privacy fence, you got to have a fence and a gate, the homeowner has a reasonable expectation of privacy. So that means, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard. So that means anybody that doesn't have a fence, you're just open game, right? Because you apparently don't care about your privacy. So a drone recording someone in an enclosed backyard may violate privacy laws. If the backyard is not fenced in or has a chain link fence, it is shared with another property, or remains visible to the public in any way, the homeowner does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. This, you know what? This sounds like I'm talking to somebody from the HOAA or whatever. We don't have fences around here where I live. Not a lot of people, unless you got animals. It's not for privacy. We just don't put fences up unless we have animals, right? We respect each other's privacy. It's a given. What part of the country do you live in? Go, well, they don't have a fence. I guess I can just peek into their windows. Whoever wrote this article is dumb. Here we go. Here's the bigger question, right? Can cops shoot down a drone? Can cops shoot down a drone? In 2018, the federal government passed the Reauthorization Act for the Federal Aviation Authority. The law includes a provision that allows government authorities to shoot down privately owned drones if they believe the drone poses a threat. Before passing the law, the federal government prohibited law enforcement agencies from shooting them down or jamming their signals. Previously, only Louisiana and Utah permitted police officers to disable drones that endanger the public or fly over wildfires. Why are they making it so hard? Like, here's the thing. It's harder. Here's what I'm trying to prove to you guys, okay? It's harder to shoot a drone. It's easier to shoot and kill a person than it is a drone in this country. I don't know about your country. In this country, it's easier to murder an individual than it is to shoot a drone. Why are they protecting drones so much? Is it even possible to shoot a drone out of the sky? Shooting a drone out of the sky is illegal and extremely difficult. We figured that out. While most drones are fragile enough to shatter with a bullet from any firearm, who cares how fragile they are? They are also small and agile. What is this? What is this, empathy for the drone? Trained snipers in a controlled environment struggle to shoot drones. The average marksman is unlikely to ever hit a drone. See, now they're saying you couldn't do it anyways because you're not that good of a shot. Yeah. With a pistol or a rifle. Who said we were using a pistol or a rifle? The bullet may also create a potential risk of injury on the way back down. You didn't think of that one, did you? Let's make sure we write this one down. Hey, when you fire a bullet in the air, it has to come down and it may hurt you. Yeah, that'll get them not to shoot at the drone. Using a shotgun is more likely to hit the target, as the pellets from birdshot rounds offer great coverage. The smaller pellets are less likely to harm individuals on the ground. However, using a shotgun on a drone is still illegal. Some people think that using a slingshot is a viable solution to taking down a drone. While it may seem like a good idea, slingshots are not powerful enough to launch objects at the necessary speed and distance to hit a drone in flight. Oh, really? I think we have just found another challenge. I've got a pretty badass slingshot that I think if I hit a drone with it, it would definitely take it down. Besides, using a slingshot in public is not only dangerous, but also illegal in many states. What? This is definitely a drone owner that wrote this article. Because listen to this. The consequences for shooting down a drone can be very vast, depending on the severity of the offense in local laws. As mentioned, individuals could potentially face prosecution, fines, and or imprisonment if they are found in violation of regulations. In addition to legal consequences, there may also be civil penalties for damages caused to the drone or property. Drones are increasingly being used for various purposes such as aerial photography, delivery services, and emergency response. Disputing or damaging a drone in flight, okay, whatever, we get it. We're not talking about those kind of drones. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not. I'm talking about some weirdo down the road flying his drone in my freaking yard just to do it. Is there a way around this? How about a cross? I was thinking the same thing. What about a cross? I was thinking of every weapon I could come up with, right? What about a crossbow? Yeah? Or how about, I don't know, a flamethrower? Can we hit a drone with a flamethrower? Is that possible? You know? Jay says, I'll be right back. I'm making a website called Drone Hub. Yeah. Guys, listen, if you want to, here's the thing. If you want to make a website where you just invade people's privacy, just get some drones. You know, you could fly around everyone's neighborhood, become some peeping Tom, look into people's backyards, whatever you want to do. Probably put it up on websites too, like Jay's talking about, and the law will protect you. Yeah. More than likely, you're going to be okay, because anybody that messes with that drone of yours is going to pay some heavy consequences. Are there any alternatives to shooting down a drone? Yes, there are alternative measures that can be taken to address concerns about drones. As mentioned earlier, reporting suspicious. No one's going to call the cops. I hate people like this, man. This is what there's a Sublime song about people like this, but I don't want to say it because it's rather offensive. Nobody's going to call the police about a drone, dude. Another alternative is using technology such as signal jammers to disrupt a drone's communication and bring it down safely. It's important to note that the use of signal jammers may also be illegal. You said they were. So, yeah, and how are you supposed to find out who's flying the damn thing? What about the peeping Tom law? This is my whole point. Sudi makes a good point. This is my whole point about why we should learn astral projection, okay? Because now they've got laws protecting all the drones, and they can watch you do whatever they want to do, and they could just come into your property and do whatever. So what about learning how to astrally project, get into your etheric body, fly up into the air, grab the drone, and then from your gut, like that dude in Ghost, right? Just devour this thing. That's the only way that you can take out a drone legally, is in your astral body. Welcome to the Astral Dojo. What about the peeping Tom laws? That's a good question. We should ask this question. Peeping Tom. I'm just going to Google this. Peeping Tom. How would I Google this? How would I phrase this? Peeping Tom law and drones. Can I put in brackets, can I shoot it? Yeah, I just want to shoot one. Can I shoot one? No, that's not going to come up. Let's see, Peeping Tom law and drones. I do have an obsession of wanting to shoot a drone out of the sky. All right. Tom Wolf recently signed a new law aimed at combating Peeping Tom drone use across the state. The act increases criminal penalties for using unmanned aircraft, typically called drones, to spy on the conduct surveillance of someone in a private place. Cool. Can I shoot it? No, I still can't shoot it. Guys, we're screwed. All right. Everybody's worried about aliens, the end of the world, the Antichrist. What you need to be worried about are drones. That's the Antichrist. Drones. Drone technology. Because once AI gets into the, think about this. Once AI gets into the drones, which I'm sure is already happening, there's no laws. You can't shoot them out of the sky. Even if you move out to the country and you're going to get away from the government, put up your solar panels and seed your lawn and do all your end of the world stuff, a drone can still find you. You can't shoot it. And if you do, it doesn't matter how far out you live, how many solar panels you put up, and how many cans of end of the world food you got. They'll still send the cops out there after you and arrest you. When a distressed Gold Coast holidaymaker, where's the Gold Coast? Isn't that in Australia? When a distressed Gold Coast holidaymaker tried to take legal action after finding a drone Peeping Tom spying on her in the shower, her lawyer advised there was little she could do. Imagine being that woman, right? You're taking a shower, naked as a jaybird. This drone just flies up and is looking at you. You can see the camera just going up and down, checking you out. Now you're on the internet, right? Flies off. You go to your lawyer, and he's like, there's nothing I could do for it. I'm sorry. Gold Coast criminal lawyer Bill Pott said the laws are loose. And that's a quotation, loose, when it comes to protecting people from privacy breaches involving small drones. Despite laws under the Privacy Act around stalking and trespassing, Mr. Pott said that the burden of proving a drone operator intended to take a sneak peek rather than it accidentally saw you is difficult. That's all they have to say. Well, I was flying my drone and I happened to go by your window and I happened to turn the camera facing your window, and that day you just happened to be in the shower and it looks like I was peeping on you, but not really. And the button got stuck, and I couldn't turn the drone around once it saw you, and, somehow or another the file, it's a live stream, so it went up on the internet, so. Biodigital Convergence Global Internet Grid, we are already hooked up, track and trace, manipulate DNA, no chip needed. It's in their documents. Oh, boy. All right. So Mr. Pott said the burden of proving a drone operator intended to take it. This is crazy. My client, who was in a high-rise building in Main Beach, looked out the window while she was having a shower to see a drone hovering about 10 feet off the window. She was clearly washing naked in the shower, and she slammed the window immediately. She went downstairs to speak to the management of the holiday rental and was told the building was being surveyed by drones for maintenance reasons. For maintenance reasons. Her concern was she had no warning and that the drone operator had done it deliberately. She felt an overwhelming sense of embarrassment and indeed anger that this was allowed to happen. Mr. Pott said the building's manager just shrugged their shoulders and didn't do nothing about it. Guys, I'm getting a drone. I want to see what I can get away with legally. Let's start a new YouTube channel. I bet you I'd get 10 million views. Let's see what I can get away with. It sounds to me like I can get away with freaking anything just because I got a drone. No wonder there's drones all over the skies in New Jersey. You can do whatever the hell you want to do with a drone. They are massively protected. Unfortunately, we could have made a complaint to the police about the stalking, but it has to be actually an intentional act, and that is very hard to prove. It's a gray area. So in these types of cases where there is a lack of clarity, a lack of good law, certainly, a lack of training, there's no action that could be taken. I imagine this is a real problem now because when was this? This was a while back, let's just say. Drone spying complaints are growing. The Civilian Aviation Safety Authority, here's another government group, the CASA. This is different than the FAA or the homeowners associations, the AAs. I'm getting tired of all these letters. Said it received about 3,000 complaints a year, but many did not want to speak publicly for fear of being further harassed. In a global collaboration, lawyer and Queensland University of Technology professor Julie Ann Tarr co-authored a book looking into drone laws and policies. Did any of you guys know this whole thing was going on while we were all worried about aliens and shit? Like the drones are getting away with murder. She said the law had not kept up with the fast-paced changes in drone technology and warned Queensland lagged behind other states to protect people's privacy. This is in Australia. It's just as bad there, too, I guess. The use of privately owned drones is one of the black holes of legislation. Well, if you think about it, imagine, because the reason why I'm talking about this, because I saw a video of that guy shooting at one of those drones in New Jersey. And if I remember correctly, someone told me that is, a federal offense, right? So I started looking into this. Imagine if you would have shot a police drone out of the sky. How are you supposed to know the difference? And it doesn't matter if it's a recreational drone, a police drone, a commercial drone, an Amazon, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on your property. It doesn't matter if you're taking a shower and your window's open. They can do whatever the hell they want. I'm going to stop doing this whole lighting the void thing, and I'm going to start a drone channel. I need you guys to donate to a new GoFundMe I'm going to make so I can get a drone, and I'm just going to fly it around and practically invade everyone's privacy, property, and everything, and just see what the hell they do to me, anonymously. I bet you there's already a YouTube channel like that. All right, so we're already at the top of the hour. I was going to talk more about like the out of body stuff, but I just woke up, and when I wake up, my ADD's on a rise. And when I got to my computer, there was stuff, obviously there's stuff all over the web about drones, and it got me wondering, like, why can't we just shoot them? If we can shoot birds and we can shoot people, well, at least in the United States, if they are a threat to us, why can't we shoot drones? And we cannot. Wear the mask, you'll be fine. Yeah. The blue Power Ranger mask. Anyways, if you guys, there's still no clear line to, that's a big question I want to find out about this for some reason. I need to know. Where's the line, like, on your property? Even if they fly, let's say 80 feet, whatever, they're 75 feet in the air. You don't own that airspace. Great. Is there any way in the world that we could legally shoot these drones? Because at the end of the day, if the answer is no, then that's got to be the biggest conspiracy on the net right now, if you really think about it. All right, we'll get back into astral travel when we come back. Lighting the void, the astral dojo, Bryce says. Well, not tonight.
wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Roop.
I wouldn't make it a habit calling me that.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I don't know how we got on this subject, but I think it's a fascinating one. You can't listen. I grew up being able to shoot whatever. I mean, when I was a kid, we'd just be like, "Oh, yeah, you see that can? Shoot that. You see that pole? Shoot that. You know, you see that bird? Yeah, I see it. Can we eat it? Yeah, shoot that. You know." If someone comes in your property or whatever, you know, and they're posing a threat, the thing is, you could get shot. You know, this isn't about guns. This is about drones. But you can't shoot a drone. The only way that we can technically take down a drone and not break the law is to get into our astral bodies, fly into the sky, and take them out. There are no new laws against drones or anything of that nature that's going to help us out. And if AI gets into the drones, which it's going to, the law gets into the drones, which they already are, basically all you got to do is have a drone and you can do anything you want. And everybody's wondering, I guess what I'm trying to say is everybody's wondered, oh, you know, the drones, what are the drones? Is it aliens? They're looking for some nefarious thing other than the government itself, you know, which anytime, you know, you start thinking about like nefarious stuff, you should look at the government. Don't always assume it's an alien or something. Most of the time it's some government or something trying to do something stupid, you know. And anyways, my whole point is technology is going to be moving faster than the laws are going to move. AI, once AI gets like up into the world of Neuralink and everybody can plug into it, and make no mistake about it, as crazy as it sounds, they are working on that. It gets into the drones. It's already in the internet. It gets into everything. We're screwed, man. There's nowhere you're going to be able to run to. That's what I find funny is like about all this stuff in the conspiracy world. And most of my friends are into conspiracy. Is lots of them think that they're going to run away. I'm just going to move out into the woods and I'm going to get a trailer, right? Or and some solar panels and all this other stuff. And people are going to leave me alone. And I'm like, I know what you really want to do. You want to go out there and start your little meth lab so no one can bother you so you don't go to jail for it. But let's play along, all right? Let's play along and say you actually want to get away from the government and all of society. Don't you think that's part of the problem? You know, you should stay here with us and fight, right? Stay here and fight. They should have laws about this, about drones and what they're able to do. Look at what this could just be an experiment if you think about it, like and don't think for a second that the government doesn't do stuff just to see how we'll react to it. It's proven that they do that. They could easily just be like, hey, let's fly a bunch of drones around and at night and just not tell anybody what they are and see what happens. Let's watch them all freak out. And guess what happened? A bunch of drones got flown around in New Jersey, and we're all acting like a bunch of ants that got gasoline poured on us. We don't know what to do. That's what freaks me out, you know. Sir Wolf. Where's Dan? Is Dan here? Wait, what if I had a drone and crashed my drone into the trespassing drone? Then it would just be a mid-air collision. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it, but now you shouldn't have to go that far, right? Jay says, let's join hands and summon Cthulhu to fix our overly materialistic and narcissistic culture. What? Who will be the first hero? I bet you the first person, it'll be on Snapchat. Guaranteed, because all the crazy stuff happens on Snapchat. All the one-offers, you know, those vigilante people, they end up, if you don't use Snapchat, you should, because that's where the vigilantes show up. There'll probably be one guy that goes around popping drones just for the hell of it. You know, like that kid that got in trouble in school all the time just because he needed attention. Those people are in droves on Snapchat. They do stupid stuff, right? There'll be a guy that goes around shooting people's drones out of the sky on Snapchat just for the hell of it. Crank or meth is old school. Yeah. I'm just saying it's kind of funny. Like most of the people that I talk to, I'm gonna piss some people. Some of the people that I talk to, I'm from the country, all right. So a lot of the stuff that these people talk about, like solar panels and growing your own food and hunting your own meat and all this stuff, we've been doing this stuff for. It's not like a massive thing that's so different. It's just a way of life, right? But these people that make like super big deals about it, they seem to just want to like have some type of manufacturing thing out in the woods. If you really just start asking them questions like, why do you really want your own privacy? Why do you want to get away from society so bad and run into the woods? And usually it's because, I would say 70% of the time, it's because they have some type of grow or manufacturing operation they want to do without being screwed with, A Tree Clement says, I don't know, Project Bluebeam is sounding more and more probable to me. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like here's the thing. I have a neighbor that did fly his drone into my yard. We got in a big argument about it. And I don't like being wrong. I'll admit it. Sometimes when I feel I'm right about something, I have a hard time letting it go. And I got into one of the biggest arguments with him about shooting his damn drone if he flies it over into my yard. And he said, no, man, I can fly my drone into your yard and you can't shoot it. And he said, well, you can, but then you're going to be a felon. So it just got me thinking about that. Where is the threshold? Do we even own anything in the air? Because we're Americans. We like to own stuff, This is my property. And on my property, I can shoot whatever I want to shoot. Right? That's the point. But as soon as anything hits the air, I guess technically, it's not. Or depending on what state you live, it gets real wishy-washy. It's only 83 feet above the ground. That's a pretty arbitrary line. 83 feet? Why not 84? Why not 75 feet? Who cares, man? Get rid of the drones. Stop letting them freak you out, or just ignore them. Because I feel like people that fly around drones that just want to be peeping toms are like secret attention seekers anyways. They're like the kids that didn't get enough attention from mommy or daddy, and so they're going to do it another way. So they provoke you with their drones, Just ignore them. If you take a naked shower and pretend they're not there, That's the only thing we can do because we can't shoot them down. We can't do an EMP pulse. We can't throw rocks at them. According to this article, we can't use slingshots. We can't do anything to any drone ever. The only thing we can do is be a punk and call the police, right? I would like to speak to a police officer, please. I have a drone flying in my skies in my yard, and it's really bothering me. The propellers. Do you think the cops are going to be like, oh, I'll be there right away? Just got to get your own drone and videotape and then send the tape. Yeah. Well, this whole drone thing really proved a point. Just like COVID did, just like other... You guys remember when Facebook did those social experiments on us? We are like ants that panic at anything. We will panic. We are looking for a reason to panic. I think we're just bored. I don't know. How many dreams have you had about drones? I have had 0 dreams about drones. None. I guess we can get back into lucid dreaming. We only got like 45 minutes. Unless you guys got any comments or questions about this stuff, I don't have any answers for you. None. I have realized that drones are one of the most protected things in the world right now. They have more rights than you do as a human being. Let's go to the chat. Ballistic Zero. If you find that lost F-35 from 3 months ago, finders keepers. Put a giant net around your house and call it Skynet Drone Defense System. Yeah, you could probably do that. They'll probably find a way to charge you for doing that. You interrupted their drone flight. Are any of these drones aliens? Come on, man. Let's think about this for a second. The whole alien thing. If you see how technology is moving, right? Would an advanced race of beings need to fly little planes around with blinking lights? And if you really think about it, would they need to fly around in little saucer thing? They just wouldn't. An advanced race of beings would be able to move around in their astral bodies. They could go anywhere in the universe. And if they're going to use technology, it's going to be light years ahead of ours. Things that we don't understand, like those crazy orange orb things that are appearing and disappearing everywhere. Those things. They wouldn't be drones. You know. I think yes. I think the orbs might be aliens. I don't know. Anyways, back to lucid dreaming. I think I've made my point. Unless you guys want to start a revolution, I'm down. I'm kind of bored. We can do that. We could start some type of social group against drones, you know, something, yada, yada. Make it a 3-letter, 4-letter thing. One of you guys come up with it. We can vote people in. There's a whole establishment right now to protect them. So we need to have a pendulum swing on this and, you know, say, look, I'm all for you flying your little helicopters around for fun in the park, but you shouldn't be able to come into my yard and watch me in the shower, you know, because make no mistake about it, they're doing it and they're getting away with it. And if you do anything to them, you know, you're a felon. So to illustrate the usefulness of the exercises described about lucid dreaming, let us see how the great projectors of the past used lucid dreaming as a route to OBEs. This will also reveal how the out-of-body experience often evolves in some sort of symbiotic relationship with this peculiar dream state. Symbiotic. So the OBE experience is symbiotic with lucid dreaming. The ability to lucid dream may automatically spark spontaneous out-of-body experiences. This has been demonstrated with Dr. Frederick van Eden, a turn of the century Dutch physician and psychologist who first described the phenomenon. There's like 9 or 10 people that Rogo's talked about in this book I've never even heard of, and I thought I knew everything about astral travel, and I do not. I have to start over. Thanks to this book. Van Eden began studying his own dreams in 1896 and kept diaries on them. This observation process seems to have sparked his lucid dreaming, which began in 1897, and he eventually collected 352 accounts. Apparently, he never attempted to induce lucid dreams, nor did he probably realize that he could do so. He first discovered the lucid dream when an incongruity alerted him to the state. He said this: I dreamt that I was floating through a landscape with bare trees, and knowing it was April, he explained in a lecture presented to the Society for Psychical Research many years later that didn't make sense. And I remarked that the perspective of the branches and twigs changed quite naturally. Then I made the reflection during sleep that my fancy would never be able to invent or to make an image as intricate as the perspective movement of little twigs seen floating by. That's what sparked your lucid dream? I wouldn't have even noticed that. After realizing that he was only dreaming, he did not wake up, so he was able to continue his observations. What is, that's a pretty good question. What's the weirdest thing that you guys have that's happened in a dream that made you realize you were dreaming? Oh, that I'm flying. Like something stupid and small. Usually it's something stupid and small, right? Ballistic Zero. If you have a privacy fence, wouldn't the Fourth Amendment overwrite any drone rights? Reasonable expectation of privacy the drone operator violated. I think in that article, the person mentioned a privacy fence, but why do you have to have hold on a second. I know we're doing left turns again, but that's all right. Why do you have to have a privacy fence to have privacy? Like, I don't get that. Maybe it's because where I grew up, maybe it's my culture or whatever here where I grew up, but like, the only reason why people have fences out where I live is so the animals don't get out. It's not really for privacy. And yet we all respect, at least for the most part, most of us do. There's a few tweakers around here that don't. But for the most part, we all respect each other's privacy. I think that would just be like a natural thing. Like, whether you have a fence or not, don't go peeping into people's stuff, you know? Tree Clement says, usually if I'm talking to my mom, I feel like there's something off. And when I wake up, I remember she's been dead for 5 years. Oh, so you have dreams. That's interesting. So you have dreams that you're talking to your mother and your mother passed away, which I'm sorry about that. But that tells you like this has to be a dream. Yeah. See, oddly enough, now that you mention that, I have dreams about my grandmother all the time, and I never realize I'm in a dream. I wonder why that is. In fact, I would say that I have lots of dreams about either my grandmother or her property, but it never dawns on me that she's not alive for some reason. Oh, you're saying the same thing. You're saying, I remember she's been dead for 5 years after you wake up. It's weird, right? So how can we, if you don't notice that in a dream, how are you going to notice exactly, right? Like, how are you going to notice those tree twigs, they don't look the same, you know? The doc says, recently my dream life has exploded. That's good. I grew up in a buck fixaking wood, Puerto Rico too, but laws are applied on how suburbia. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, we'll figure out this drone thing. And if we don't, like Jay said, we'll start a website and start invading other people's privacy with a drone so much. We'll get on Snapchat too. We'll do it so much that they'll have to make laws. We're going to fix this. I've found a new purpose in life. We're going to stop all this drone revolution. What do you call it? Drone tyranny. That's what it is. A social totalitarian government of drones is what it is. This initial experience had an unusual side effect. Van Eden started having out-of-body experiences, although the psychologist at first did not quite realize what was happening. For instance, 6 months after his first lucid dream, he had the following experience. In the night of January of 19th or the 20th, I dreamt that I was lying in the garden before the windows. I was lying in the garden before the windows of my study. I don't know why my brain that doesn't make sense to me. And saw the eyes of my dog through the glass pane. I was lying on my chest and observing the dog very keenly. At the same time, however, I knew with perfect certainty that I was dreaming and lying on my back in my bed. And then I resolved to wake up slowly and carefully and observe how my sensation of lying on my chest would change into the sensation of lying on my back. Do what now? And so I did, slowly and deliberately. And the transition, which I have since undergone many times, is most wonderful. It is like the feeling of slipping from one body into another, and there is distinctly a double recollection of the two bodies. I remembered what I felt in my dream lying on my chest, but returning into the day life. I remembered also that my physical body had been quietly lying on its back all the while. What the hell is he saying? This observation of a double memory I have had many times since. I feel like I'm talking to Yoda or something. It is so, this guy's a psychologist. It is so indubitable that it leads almost unavoidably to the conception of a dream body. In a lucid dream, the sensation of having a body, having eyes, hands, a mouth that speaks, and so on is perfectly distinct. Yet, I know at the same time that the physical body is sleeping and has quite a different position. In waking up, the sensations blend together, so to speak, and I remember as clearly the action of the dream body. Oh, I think I understand what he's saying, as the restfulness of the physical body. So help me understand if I'm saying, if am I understanding this right, or like he's flipping over in his dream body while he knows he's laying on his back in his physical body. He's rolling over on his chest in his dream body, and he's saying he could feel the difference. Is that what he's saying? Maybe. I've lucid dreamed before, but when I notice the ultra 4K details, I wake up every single time. I have to balance it to where it has to be a bit dreamy, for the lack of a better term. Dan Beard says, anyone else notice how fragments of dreams are some of the most persistent memories? Yeah, that is a trippy thing, right? Even little bitty things, that don't make any sense. Or I've got memories that I feel like go back to when I was a toddler that are just stupid stuff. Like there's a ditch down at the end of my road that I had a dream about that I was trying to crawl out of, and it's just meaningless. It's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. And it is a fragment of a dream that I had when I was a kid, but I remember it like vividly. It's stupid. Right there where the street sign is, actually. I get deja vu all the time, every time I drive by it. It's weird. Anyways, this experience led Van Eden to wonder if his dream body might not be in some sense real. He even suggested that his body and the astral body of the occultist were on this one and the same, indicating that he was partially aware that he was quite literally out of body. Most lucid dreamers, although aware that they are dreaming, perceive their dream bodies as their real and only bodies. Well, yeah, man. I mean, a dreamer who finds him or herself out of body and aware that his or her physical body is located elsewhere is probably undergoing an OBE. No, I don't know about that, because to me, it's like, how do I put this? It's like being in a simulation, like because I've felt pain. I felt everything you could feel. And yeah, if you want to get down to the embarrassing stuff or whatever, but everything that you can feel in the body, I've felt in my dream body. I've felt pain. I've felt pleasure. I've felt like what it feels like when I touch things. Exactly, almost what it feels like to touch. It's so freaking weird. But to me, this is doesn't mean that I have a dream body. I always thought that it was just the power of the mind, like almost kind of like the Matrix. Like our mind is so powerful that it's taken in all these computations of real life, so that when it dreams, it knows how to do the same exact thing. So whether, like when you fall, or like if you ever had a dream that I've had dreams that I'm making out with a celebrity that I'm really into, feels just like I'm making out with them. How does my mind know that? It's just nerve receptors. It doesn't mean you're like in another body. I don't think. It's just a program. Sudi says, what the fuck is deja vu? Can someone give a decent answer on this? I can try. Like, deja vu is when something happens. Like, all right, so the other night I was gaming. I think I was playing Cyberpunk or whatever, and Jay was in the chat. Because, I mean, any of you gamers need to hit me up, man. Because I stream late night sometimes, just playing around. Anyways, Jay was in the chat. I forget what we were talking about, and he said, man, I just had the craziest deja vu experience. So it's like you having this feeling that that this has happened before. Almost not like, oh, we've talked about this before, or we were doing this the other. It's a feeling like everything that's happening everything to the exact T. Everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything is happening exactly the same way as it's happened before. Somewhere, right? I think that's the best way to explain it, right? Yeah, purple pencils. I play Call of Duty, Cyberpunk. I even sent you a message I think I sent you a message on Discord trying to hook up with y'all. You and a couple other people trying to play. That's really a sucky definition, Zudi, of deja vu. I'm sorry I can't define it better. Yeah, almost like it's a time slip. Almost like, sometimes I think deja vu happens because we've actually done something. I'll hit you up again, brother, on the Xbox thing, though. Sometimes I think we have deja vu because we actually did do something similar, and so similar that our brain freaks out, how do I explain this? Like the other day, I was driving down the road. I was talking to my dad on the phone. I had him on speakerphone, and we were talking about stock options, the SPY on stock options. Well, I was at a certain place on this road while I was talking about it. And for a moment, it just felt like I was dreaming, or I've been here before. I've done this exact same thing with the exact same scenario, the exact same conversation, the exact same words, But I think that deja vu might actually be triggered because I have done that before. Something so close to it that maybe my brain's like, wait, we've done this before. But then there's other types of like deja vu that make no sense. Like you'll have deja vu and you know that you've never actually done this before, but it feels like you have. Totally feels like you've been there before. It's like watching Groundhog Day. Something feels the same, but you anticipate changes. Yeah. And it's really fast, too. I mean, the longest deja vu experience I've ever had was like 15 seconds. Most of the time, they're just really quick, So after this experience, Van Eden tended to wonder if his dream body might be in some sense real. He suggested that his body and the astral body of the occultists were one and the same. And after this adventure, Van Eden began actively experimenting with the dream body and the lucid dream. I like this guy. See, he's a void walker. He wants to go figure this out. Sometimes he would awake to find his dream body standing in his bedroom next to his wife. He even tried shouting to her to see if he could rouse her. These experiences were, of course, most likely genuine out-of-body experiences and not lucid dreams, of which he had plenty. And his favorite pastime in his genuine lucid dreams was to fly about, meet with people he knew were dead, explore beautiful landscapes, and engage in other adventures. He also made some pertinent observations about the nature and phenomenology of the lucid dream. He noted that they always occurred in the morning between the hours of 5 and 8 and usually manifested a day or two after he had experienced non-lucid flying dreams. Sometimes a lucid dream would lapse back into normal dreaming. He also described how he would occasionally wake up in his bedroom, only to see that the room was somehow unusual. Strange sights and sounds would manifest, thus alerting him that he was actually still asleep and dreaming. He would then have to reawaken himself. Van Eden's major contribution to the study of dreams was published by the Society of Psychical Research in 1913. A keen student of psychical research as well as dream psychology, Van Eden hoped eventually to write a more complete history of his experiments. Apparently, he never completed his work. Perhaps, in this projected work, he would have more clearly differentiated between his lucid dreams and his OBEs. Yeah, it sounds to me like he was having out-of-body experiences and he thought those were lucid dreams. In reading his paper today, however, it seems obvious that he was having both experiences, although he makes no differentiation between them. His records best serve as an illustration of how the OB exists in close relationship to lucid dreaming and can be considered a byproduct of it. Patricia Garfield, whose research on dreams was discussed earlier, particularly recommends the use of lucid dreaming for enjoyment and psychological and spiritual growth, or as she puts it, a kind of learning that is not contained in psychology books. She experienced a dramatic out-of-body experience during the time of her active experimentation, and in her autobiographical Pathway to Ecstasy, that sounds like something a girl would write, Pathway to Ecstasy. Dr. Garfield described how she was resting one day on her bed just ready to fall asleep. She had been reading a book on the OBE and decided to carry her experiments one step further. Good girl. See, these are our type of people, man. It just sucks that they're like back in the day or whatever. She noticed that her body was gently vibrating and she heard whirring sounds fluttering in her ears. Realizing that she might well be in a pre-out-of-body state, she willed herself to float away from her body. The suggestion worked, and soon she found herself hovering over her own body. She lowered herself back down and then induced a second OBE. Damn, that's impressive. I wish I could do that, man. This time, however, her second self took off on its own, propelling itself away from the body at the speed of light. Garfield found herself in a void and then lost consciousness. Holy shit. So this woman she had an OBE, pushed herself back in her body, then immediately made herself have another one, which, I mean, I think I've done that once or twice, but like not on purpose, you know. And then it's almost like her body flew away from her and then she found herself in a void. That's trippy, man. She found herself in a void and then lost consciousness. Oh, dude, I bet that freaked her out. That would freak me out. The experience had a strange, almost morbid effect on her, and she was frightened. Yeah, I bet. And all that day, she felt as if she would have another OBE if she rested and let down her guard. Eventually, she went to sleep on her side to inhibit any incipient OBE from manifesting. Can you imagine having a out-of-body experience so freaking scary like that now you have anxiety that you're going to have one? Only much later did Dr. Garfield fully understand what had happened to her. This is what she said, quote, "By assembling my own experience with lucid dreaming and comparing it with the recoded experiences of others," that's supposed to be recorded, I think, she writes in Pathways to Ecstasy, "I saw that I had been on an inevitable path to the out-of-body experience." She had learned that the techniques for induced lucid dreaming are identical to ways of literally freeing oneself from the body. Learn one skill and you get the bonus. This is a real good point. For most of us that are trying to get out of body, right? Like, if you find it, what's up, MJ? If you find it boring to do just the OBE methods, and you're like, just do the lucid dreaming methods, because at the very least you're going to have lucid dreams, which are freaking awesome for the most part. But eventually, if you just do, like, you know how I was telling you last night, try to fly or whatever, eventually you're going to have an OBE. Just for messing around with lucid dreaming, you're probably going to have an OBE. So if you like excitement, right? If you're not trying to get real specific and you want to have an out-of-body experience, maybe just do the lucid dreaming stuff, because you're going to get one with the other for sure. Garfield has never been too comfortable with the prospect of leaving the body, and when I first met her in San Francisco in 1979, she admitted that she had subsequently attempted conscious induction of the experience, but with little success. No doubt her initial negative reaction to the out-of-body experience reinforced her personal fear barrier, which may have cut her off from any further exploration. Yeah, she had a bad one. That's a really rare thing, too, to have something like that trippy happen to you when you have like your first OBE. To understand the great complexities of the lucid dream and how it relates to consciousness control of the out-of-body experience, however, one must turn to the detailed records of Hugh Calloway. He virtually mastered the art of conscious projection through his study of lucid dreaming. We don't know much about Calloway, but born in 1886, he spent most of his life in London and eventually became a lawyer. He served in the British Armed Forces for 2 years during World War I and later became very involved in London's occult underground, ultimately becoming a theosophist. Calloway began experimenting with the out-of-body state when he was only 16, which no doubt accounts for his later interest in the occult. His first autobiographical accounts appeared in 1920 in the Occult Review, and they were later expanded into a book written, as were his articles, under the pseudonym of Oliver Fox. This volume, Astral Projection, A Record of Out-of-Body Experiences, has become one of the classics in the field. Calloway lived to see the outbreak of World War II and died in 1949. Calloway's psychic history begins with his childhood, but not until 1902 did he have an experience that prompted his interest in lucid dreaming and astral projection. I'm betting that the war had something to do with it, though. You know, anytime you come up again, which might be one of the reasons why I'm so interested in it, anytime you come face to face with like death, a lot of times you'll get interested in this. There's a show that I watched, a podcast called, it's the Sean Ryan show. I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. Well, he talks to a lot of military people, and he talked to this one young guy that recounted this horrific scene, this battle scene where like a lot of his friends died around him, and the guy was crying when he was recounting it. It was awful, him retelling this thing. Now, just shortly after he told his experience in battle, right after that, he immediately got involved with the occult, the out-of-body experience. I think he was even quoting things from Aleister Crowley. And Sean Ryan was all like, wow, really? What made you do that? And isn't it obvious? Like the man faced death. He faced it down, And usually when you do that, it kind of makes you wonder, what's on the other side. So I could definitely see how a World War I or II vet would get involved with this too. So Calloway's psychic history begins with his childhood, though, but not until 1902 did he have an experience that prompted his interest. One night he was dreaming about entering his house when the odd configuration of the curbstones caught his attention. They had rearranged themselves from their normal position. The startled teenager suddenly realized that he was dreaming. This revelation produced such a marked alteration in his level of consciousness that he lost control of his dream. He awoke awed and excited. The experience also led young Calloway to wonder if he could train himself to become aware during his dreams. So he had no idea about lucid dreaming. No. He had no idea about lucid dreaming, and as a child, he just started asking himself, I wonder if I could become aware. Eventually, he discovered an appropriate technique. He said, before going to sleep, I must impress upon my mind the desirability of not allowing the critical faculty to slumber. He writes in his autobiography, it must be kept awake, ready to pounce on any inconsistency in the dream and recognize it as such. It took hundreds of experiments before Calloway succeeded in inducing lucid dreams, but it was not long before he started having out-of-body experiences along with it. And these projections, which Calloway at first considered mere variations of the lucid dream, began manifesting when he tried to prolong his dreams. He would be exploring some strange dream environment when he would gradually become aware of the pull of his physical body. His dream environment would fade away, and he would find himself standing by his bed at home. Over the next 3 years, Calloway systematically experimented with his lucid dreams, and this led him to make several discoveries about the relationship between the lucid dream and the OBE. The first was his discovery of the false awakening, which is one of the freakiest damn things, man, in the world. We should do a whole show on false awakenings because they're freaky. Which Van Eden was to discover and describe a few years later. Calloway learned that sometimes he would awake after a lucid dream only to find himself still asleep. Yeah. And then he would recognize this state when he found himself clearly viewing his room while simultaneously aware that his eyes were closed. It did not take him long to realize that merely by an act of will he could induce an OBE from the false awakening. His next discovery was that he would sometimes awaken from a lucid dream totally cataleptic again, a pre-projection state that could be easily utilized for leaving the body at will. So he'd wake up paralyzed. Man, look, false awakenings is that like I got caught in a loop I told you guys about like so much one time that I thought I could be dead. I thought I was trapped. And the whole dream was literally just me waking up on the couch. As soon as I woke up, I grabbed my phone. I tried to hit the power button. When I hit the power button, the screen would just phase out. Like it would flash, but phase out. So here I am grabbing my phone and I'm like, why is my phone not coming on? What's going on? Right. So I hit and then I realized, oh shit, I'm dreaming. So the next thing I did was I literally tried to wake myself up. So I'm like, shit, I'm asleep. I need to wake up. So I could feel my eyes shaking. Like my eyes just rolled in the back of my head shaking. And I'm sitting there going, wake up. I felt like I went through a threshold and I woke up. At least I thought I did. Same thing. Rolled over, grabbed my phone right where it was, where I fell asleep, picked it up, hit the button on the phone. The screen phased out. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm still asleep. So I felt myself wake myself up through this crazy threshold of the dream state, thinking I was awake. And I still was not awake. I was still in a dream. It was the trippiest feeling. I did that 3 times. Same thing. Roll over, grab my phone, hit the button. Phone doesn't come on. It's doing some weird flashy thing I've never seen. Realize I'm in a dream. Try to force myself to wake up. And about the 3rd or 4th time, I started thinking I died in my sleep. I'm stuck here. Like I really started getting freaked out. And then later I saw an entity thing I told you guys about, but what's up, Coach Chris? He said, what up, brother? Do you think astral projection is related to bilocation? Bilocation seems more challenging and more advanced. I've had success with the OBE, but can't seem to bilocate yet. Man, I think we should do a whole freaking show on bilocation. Because if that's a real thing, I want to be able to do that too. Like a lot of the greatest astral travelers have had experiences with it. They've even had people say that they saw them in other places while they were somewhere else. Bro, like if you're, I think it's directly related. Yeah. If that's the question, to answer your question, I think it's directly related. I think once you learn how to have OBEs or you're doing like full-fledged out-of-body experiences all the time, bilocation is the next thing you should work on if it's real. We should get to a place where we can test that stuff too, Bilocation would be the next phase of that. In my opinion, but if it's real, as a void walker, I'd have to test it to see if it's real, but I'm fascinated with it. So, however, even up to 1905, Calloway was not sure where the lucid dream ended and the actual projection of the astral body began. His interest in finding out came later that year as a result of what seemed an idle boast. Calloway had been courting a young woman named Elsie who lived across town. One day he was bragging to her about his projections when she, in a brilliant display of one-upmanship, began claiming the same ability. You were dating a girl that was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and she doesn't? Maybe she did though. Let's see. She even boasted that she would visit him that very night and made good on her promise. Well, then she wasn't doing that one-upman thing. She was being honest. You should marry that girl. Calloway was understandably shocked when Elsie's apparition appeared in his bedroom just as he was about to fall asleep. God, let me run into a girl like that in Arkansas somewhere. He visited her the next day to report on the visitation, but before he could tell her what had happened, the young woman offered a detailed description of his room. Correct in just about every respect. See, this is my whole point with permission. See, they had a conversation about it, I'm sure, and then she showed up in his room. See how that works? It's so much better that way. This incident encouraged Calloway to experiment further with astral projection, and now determined to discover the parameters of the OBE as a phenomena independent of lucid dreaming, he wanted to find a way to leave the body without falling asleep so that dreaming of any sort would not interfere. Well, I do that naturally. Not trying to brag or anything, but yeah. The first critical experiment was made in July of 1908 when Calloway discovered that he could willfully induce pre-projection catalepsy, sleep paralysis. He called this the trance condition, and his technique was to lie down, close his eyes, breathe rhythmically until he became drowsy, but retain conscious awareness until he could see his room through his closed eyelids. Then he merely had to will himself to leave the body. Once out of his physical prison, Calloway could project to, why did he call it that? It's not a prison. It's your body. Calloway could project to anywhere he liked just by willing himself to travel. Sometimes he was literally catapulted out of his body, or he would be borne away as though by a great wind. Later, he learned that he could induce the pre-projection trance by lying down and forcibly squinting his eyes upward until his paralysis overtook him. What does that mean? Squinting his eyes upward. What? I'm trying to do it right now. I don't even know what that means. Lying down and forcibly squinting his eyes upwards. Does anybody know what he's talking about? Squinting his eyes upwards? Let me know if you guys know what he's talking about. Calloway devoted the rest of his experiments from 1907 to at least 1937 to exploring the nature of the OBE world. Many of his strange adventures are reported in chronological order in his book. He experimented with visiting earthly locations, traveling over great distances in a flash, and even succeeding in visiting new dimensions of reality, where he freely interacted with the residents. His fascination with the occult grew during these years, and his eventual goal was to use his OBEs to locate an incorporeal spiritual master who could help him along the road to spiritual perfection. One can only wonder whether he succeeded or not. I got to read this book, man. Got to find this book too. I'm going to say this, Rogo, in my opinion, this book, one of the biggest reasons why this is one of the greatest astral travel books of all time is because Rogo uproots all of the, like the best of the best of when it comes to astral travel material, information, records, articles, things like that. You could use this book and then research everything he's talking about, and you're going to you'll at least be like a research expert on the subject after you do everything he does in this book. Because there's so much stuff I haven't read that he's talked about. Calloway's records are particularly fascinating since they show how fully controlled OBE skills can be developed through the use of lucid dreaming. There is no evidence that Calloway was a natural projector, though. His initial separations manifested as a byproduct of his experiments in dream control, and there is no reason to believe that he was unique in his ability to master astral projection in this manner. He was wise enough, however, to see the potential of his experiences, which allowed him to use lucid dreams as a springboard forward for further psychic development. His autobiographical notes can therefore serve as a model for any student who wishes to use lucid dreaming as a step towards the out-of-body experience. They show how to proceed, what phenomenology to expect, how to use what one has learned for more conscious control, and so forth. But remember that it took Calloway some 5 years to learn the art. That's not really too long, roughly equivalent to the time it takes to become reasonably proficient at playing a musical instrument. Although the student may wish to use Calloway's methods as a guide in his or own practice, it's not necessary to learn total control of lucid dreaming to induce the out-of-body experience. Brief moments of lucidness can work equally as well in igniting your initial experiences. In this respect, there's much to say for the Muldoon dream control method. In fact, it was though a technique very similar to this that I learned to induce some of my own OBEs. The Muldoon method. Damn. We all tried what? What did you all try? Did you try to squint upwards? Man. What if she was an emotional vampire? You know, this whole psychic vampire and an emotional vampire thing, I challenge anybody that believes in that. And I'm not saying it's not real. It's definitely real. The whole like psychic vampires and emotional vampire thing. But before you go pointing your finger at other people, which I still do to this day, let's be honest, like, and say that person's a psychic or emotional vampire. There's a video. I'll try to see if I can leave the link in the description of this video. But Liam Thomas Christopher, one of the most underrated occultists and magicians of all time. And he's putting out gold in his YouTube channel. And this is, in my opinion, why when people listen to his videos, they're like, oh, that's what ceremonial magic is. It's not as fascinating as, you know, people think, or as scary as people. It's just a real spiritual practice. Anyways, I'll go on a tangent if I keep talking. He has a whole video on psychic vampires. And it's probably one of the most accurate things I've ever listened to in my entire life about how this process of vampirism works and what's really going on when our energy gets drained, you know. Let's see. Vampires ask for permission too. Jay has a point. Y'all go check out that video though by Liam Thomas Christopher. It's called Psychic Vampire. It's great. A lot of his videos are great. But if you want to learn the art of the real, what is, how do I say this? I can't promote this guy enough. If you want to learn what real occult practice or real ceremonial magic is really about, not what 9 million of these YouTube videos are telling you. If you want to really learn what it's really about and how the spiritual progress or practice of it works, man, listen to his videos for real. Most of the people that fantasize about magic and the occult or think it's something what it's not, they'll probably find it boring, but it's the truth. Sometimes the truth isn't super fantastic in what you think it is. Although I think what he reveals about magic is even better than what people perceive about it. But did you see it the other day, Sir Wolf? Yeah, watch that. Watch his videos, man. All right, so it is the top of the hour. We're going to get out of here. I'm probably going to run to the store and then get on the game a little bit till I pass out tonight. So if any of you guys are gamers, hit me up at iVoidwalker. I have a gaming channel called iVoidwalker on Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. And then might put out something for the supporters this weekend. I need to make a new podcast episode for you guys on Patreon. Thank you guys for coming out and listening to the show. Thank you for all your support. It's good to see you again, Chris. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. We need to catch up. And there was something I needed to talk about tonight, and I will not remember it. I know I won't remember it until I get off the air. That's the thing about it. I'll remember it 30 minutes later. Oh, checking my notes here. I guess maybe I did talk about everything. All right. I love you guys. Night night. Sweet dreams. You can contact me too at producer@fringe.fm. Call in or text. Leave a voicemail 501-777-5631. Hit us up in the Discord.